what might be some perspectives you would offer them with respect to, you know, showing up to their psychedelic experience from a why perspective and a what perspective, and maybe in contrast to what you see as maybe more transhumanist, less hyperhumanist way of approaching psychedelics?
Well, I mean, we all see this trend of people using vape pens on the dance floor. And I was at a Zora festival, during the recent gathering in Hungary, and you smell DMT everywhere on the dance floor. And for me, it's each person to their own, but I think it's something sacred. I think it's something that you should be very mindful of the context that you're taking it within. I think now we're seeing the rise of 5-MeO DMT vape pens. And I think if you are talking about the why of why you're going into these spaces, I think that these are the ultimate kind of technologies. They are invitations to connect to as you mentioned, this network of being that isn't you necessarily. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of the fact that you are entering spaces that may be not yours, that maybe need some reverence and should be taken as such. So do not necessarily do these things in party settings. Do not do them without a dieter. Go in there with the best body set, not just the mindset, not just the best context, but also go in there with your best health. Make sure that you're well rested. Don't do any of this stuff if you're not on the best form. But then I say that if there are people that have cancers and then they do Cambo, I know Cambo can be very good to reset your immune system. Maybe it doesn't last that long, but again, have reverence for the being that is giving you that bridge to healing. Be mindful that in the same way with the AI technologies, it all depends what you're feeding it, right? It all depends. If you're working with an AI that's built on the wisdom traditions, then you're going to get a very different kind of response in that mirroring than you are if you're working with open AI. And so I think, be mindful of what you're feeding that space. It's a bi-directional communication.
And I think part of that mindfulness, I suppose, is also sort of like looking at the larger context and how you approach it. You said like go in with like in your best state, your healthiness or whatever. Well, someone's best state looks different. It looks different if you have cancer than if you are, like 25 years old in the prime of your life,
Of course.
And also I think, it's fair to say that I assume most people that are just like hitting the DMT pen on the dance floor at a Psytrance festival, as epically amazing a Psytrance festival as Zora is, especially on Sangoma night, which is like my getting the dark side is where I like to go. But I could see that, like generally that's probably just because like, fuck yeah, let's bring it up another level. Like this whole music and this whole environment is made to kind of be like we're high on drugs. Let's also be high on drugs. And then there's another layer of that, which is, I think it's unfair to assume that it's not sacred for someone, because I also have met many people who, their pilgrimage is to the big Psytrance festival. Their sort of sacred moment is all night on the dance floor at a Psytrance festival. And I think it's also, it's not unreasonable to me to think that their sort of consumption of the DMT pen is in service to that sacredness, and maybe very intentionally, but also it could be just flippant entertainment as well. So I think it really comes down to not so much a prescription of the sort of step-by-step, the hows and whys that I hear you speaking to, but a kind of description of the kind of mindfulness and consideration you can bring to those choices, which can be an inclination towards a hyperhumanist approach and simultaneously an expression of it, if I've got that correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is a personal choice. Like you say, there are pilgrims, there are people that are taking these things as sacraments, even in that context. And each to their own, as I mentioned. I think that it's, for me, I wouldn't do it mainly because psytrance. I mean, the direction of psytrance I'm seeing is this high tech. And when I was towards the end of the evening, at both Modem and Azura, you're hearing kind of 250 beats a minute, and it just, to me, sounds like gunfire. It just sounds like, and the drug most used is probably ketamine, and it doesn't strike me that these people are even enjoying what they're listening to. They're just getting through it with in a disassociated state. But I am certainly not judging anyone's choice of practice or music. It's just, I was there with David Glowacki, and he was serenading me with Icaros in my tent in the morning to try and undo some of the damage that we both experienced by listening to this high tech all night. And there was no break in the music. So, each to their own.
I mean, also high tech is, man, holy goodness. It seems like it's only really enjoyable if you let yourself be in the absolute middle of it, and give yourself over to it. But it is very intense. Not my entire cup of tea. Again, more of a dark psy kind of guy. Dark psy, forest, depending on the time of night, can get down with that. Anyways, that's a totally different conversation. You just got me excited on a tangent thing, which is psytrance music, which I love.